Respected Director, Dr. C. Anandaramakrishnan, Chief Guest of today's function, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, President, Indian National Academy of Sciences and Institute Chair Professor, IIT Kanpur, Guest of Honor and Chief Technology Office, Tata Steel Limited, Dr. Athanuranjan Pal, distinguished invitees, heads of divisions, colleagues and students at NIIST, visiting faculties and students, and esteemed members of the scientific community who have joined us online today. Namaste and good morning. It's indeed a great privilege for me to stand before you today as we gather to celebrate the Foundation Day of CSIR and CSIR-NIIST. The Foundation Day marks not just the inception of these institutions, but the beginning of a journey that has transformed the landscape of scientific research and innovation in our country. Ever since the establishment of CSIR and CSIR-NIIST on 26 September 1942 and 6 October 1975 respectively, we have been at the forefront of scientific advancement, contributing significantly to various fields. The impact of our work resonates far beyond the walls of our laboratories, influencing the lives of millions and driving our nation towards a brighter future. As we stand on the shoulders of these giants, those visionaries who have laid the cornerstone of these esteemed institutions, we are reminded that our legacy is not merely in the achievements we celebrate, but in the challenges we embrace. As we reflect on our past, we also look to the future with hope and determination. The challenges we face today, climate change, public health crisis, and technological disruptions demand a collaborative and innovative approach. Together, as a community, we must continue to push the boundaries of knowledge and strive for excellence. It's a responsibility to respond with creativity and courage as the world around us calls for tangible solutions, and this indeed is our resolution on this Foundation Day. Without any further delay, let me invite our respected director to accompany the chief guest of today's function, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, our guest of honor, Dr. Athanuranjan Pal, to the dais. I also request Dr. U.S. Harish, Dr. Joshi Joseph, and Sri Anthony Peter Raja to join the dignitaries. Thank you, sir. Let me invite Dr. U.S. Harish, Head Human Resource and Academic Division, for the welcome address.
Respected Director Dr. C. Anandaramakrishnan, Chief Guest of today's function, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, President of the International Academy of Sciences and Institute Chair Professor, IIT Kanpur, Guest of Honor, Dr. Athanuranjan Pal, Chief Technology Officer, Process, Tata Steel Limited, distinguished dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. Good morning and welcome you all to the Foundation Day celebrations of CSIR and CSIR-NIIST. It's a moment of great pride and joy for all of us to gather here today. CSIR and CSIR-NIIST in particular mark the significant occasion, and as we do this, we are reminded of the invaluable contributions made by our organization towards advancing science and technology for the betterment of society. Today, we honor the vision, perseverance, and dedication of all the individuals who have been a part of this journey, the scientists, the researchers, the staff members, and students alike. I am delighted to extend a very special welcome to our esteemed chief guest, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, President of the International Academy of Sciences and Institute Chair Professor at IIT Kanpur. Professor Sharma's contributions to science and technology in India are profound, and he is one of the scientific luminaries, and we look forward to gaining insights from his address during this Foundation Day lecture. Let me invite our Director, Dr. C. Anandaramakrishnan, to officially welcome our chief guest, Professor Ashutosh Sharma. We are equally delighted and privileged to have with us Dr. Athanuranjan Pal, Chief Technology Officer Process at Tata Steel Limited, one of the largest industries of steel manufacture in the country as well as in the world, as of our guest of honor. May I request Director to formally welcome him. I also welcome Mr. Anthony Peter Raja, our Administrative Officer, and Dr. Joshi Joseph, who is the Coordinator of Jinjasa Programs in the Institute. Before we proceed, I would like to take a moment to express our gratitude to all our senior colleagues, scientists, staff members, and students from CSIR-NIIST and the faculty and students from various institutions around for actively participating in the Foundation Day celebrations today. As we continue with our program, let us embrace the spirit of collaboration and innovation that defines CSIR and CSIR-NIIST. As Dr. Pinishi has posted yesterday, let us celebrate the roots, the growth, and achievements of CSIR and CSIR-NIIST and look forward to a future befitting the contributions of everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our respected director, Dr. C. Anandaramakrishnan, has been the guiding light behind every event organized at CSIR-NIIST. Though his scientific journey began with a spark of curiosity, he has literally transformed the Indian landscape of food science and technology with every insight. No wonder Dr. Anandaramakrishnan has been bestowed with the first ever Rashtriya Vigyan Shri Puraskar in Agricultural Sciences by the Government of India this year. He is a fellow of the National Academy of Sciences and the National Academy of Agricultural Sciences, among other science and engineering academies in the country. He has also been the recipient of DBT Tata Innovation Fellowship, NASI Reliance Industries Platinum Jubilee Award, ICAR Rafi Ahmad Kidwai Award, and many more. A chemical engineer by training, a food technologist by expertise, and an administrator by passion, Dr. Anandaramakrishnan has rewritten the narrative of NIST by fostering a culture of innovation and collaboration that transcends traditional boundaries. Under his leadership, CSIR-NIIST has embraced sustainability as a core tenet of its mission. We indeed see now a new and vibrant NIST where creativity flourishes, and his proactive engagement with external stakeholders ensures that the institute remains at the forefront of scientific achievements, aligning its objectives with the evolving demands of the society. With due respect, let me invite our respected director, Dr. C. Anandaramakrishnan, for the presidential address. Please, sir.
Most respected Professor Asutosh Sharma sir, Dr. Attanurajan Paul, Dr. Harish, Dr. Joshi Joseph, Mr. Anthony Peter Raja, and all my colleagues, students, invitees who are watching the online. They are eager to watch for Asutosh Sharma lecture. Good morning to everyone and greetings from my side and all the colleagues of CSIR-NIIST for the CSIR Foundation Day as well as CSIR-NIIST Foundation Day. CSIR has started before the independence. So 83 years over, and just few weeks back we celebrated our Foundation Day at Nasi Complex at New Delhi. Almost all the former DGs have attended that program, including our former DG of CSIR, Professor Asutosh Sharma. So wonderful and colorful event. All the former DGs clearly spelled out what we have to do for in the future. Yes, we have contributed quite a lot for the nation building, but our responsibility not yet over. We need to think how we are going to contribute changing the scenario, changing the landscape of the science and technology in the country. That's what we discussed during that our Foundation Day. If you look at our Honorable Prime Minister, during his Independence Day speech, he said every Indian dream is to make India as the world manufacturing hub. Hamara Sankalp, Viksit Bharat. How we are going to achieve 2047 as the Viksit Bharat. That you wanted to achieve, we need to make sure whatever we are doing in each and every sector. For example, if you see the manufacturing sector presently contributing 25% of the GDP. All the manufacturing sector contributed, either agri and food and pharma, textile, industry. Each and every sector, CSIR has own lab. If CSIR can't support like that, who is going to support to make when India to be a manufacturing hub? That means we need to make it a double the size of the GDP contribution, then not it is possible. For simple example, if you take it a food alone, where I know bit more, right now it's almost $500 billion of the size of the market. Next year is going to be $535 billion of the market. But what is our export in the 2022 to 23? Only $50 billion business. Indian market is 500 billion, export is only 50 billion. That's what key element. One more event also Honorable Prime Minister told, India should be a world food basket. That is the dream. If you make it that connect, 50 billion export is not at all going to be helped to do that. Then where is the problem comes? The problem comes if you look at the 2017, the whole Europe imported biscuits worth is $3.7 billion. What is the contribution of India is only 2.7 million, not even a 1%. That's the problem. We are producing the more than 100 million tons of the wheat, 270 lakh of sugar, not able to convert both things into the biscuit. So we need to understand what is the customers wanted, what is the technological input, what is the packaging, how we need to convince the customers in that region. That's the way we need to look, and we need to create the product for particular region. So this is one example. We can do it in all other aspects, either leather or textile or the pharma industry. We have 4-5 labs working on that. That's the way we need to plan to sort it out how we are going to achieve Viksit Bharat in 2047. CSIR-NIIST started 49 years. Yesterday we completed, and today onwards we are in the 50th year of our Golden Jubilee celebrations. Coming 17th, our Honorable Minister for Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, is coming here to inaugurate our Golden Jubilee celebrations. What else we need from Government of India to start with that? This institute started with a very, very humble beginning with Dr. Amla, CFTRI director, sent 4 scientists from CFTRI to this place to start working on the spice and spice related area. Later we expanded to the material science and the chemical science, environmental science. Recently we added the food and our sustainable energy division as well. We contributed quite a lot to the nation building. We wanted to move further up. If you look at recent past, what we showcased, what I wanted to tell one word. Day before yesterday, we conducted RC. One of the RC member told CSIR-NIIST setting the benchmark. Yes, it's true. If you look at 2022-23, our total budget was almost 44 crore. It is increased to 75 crore this year. Within 7 months, we reached 105 crore already. Not only that, our ECF generation has increased from the 10 crore to 19 crore and LR of 2.36 to now almost 3.6 crore last year. This year, almost 7 months, we reached it. 300 papers with average impact factor of 5.9. If you take it up per capita of 78 scientists, is one among the highest in the any other institution in the country. That's the way we are putting our quality research and outcome in any other parameters. If you put it, CSIR-NIIST in the top. So what next? Next is very simple. Now we showcased India as the best interdisciplinary science, the only institution working in the interdisciplinary science in the country. Can we move on to International Institute for the Interdisciplinary Science? That's what our target for next 25 years. So this 50-year celebration, when we are beginning from today, we need to have such a mantra. We need to work for not only we are competing with other institutions in the country, we are going to compete with other global institutions. I thank Professor Ashutosh Sharma sir accepting our invitation to come over here. From 2018 onwards, I am requesting sir to come. When I was the director of NIFTM, sir accepted 2018 iCraft. Finally, sir as other engagement could not travel. 2-3 occasions, even CSIR-NIIST also we invited. And this time when I said immediately sir has accepted, you know that sir is the president of INSA and former secretary of DST. And you may be aware of that sir was the RC member of CSIR-NIIST as well when TKC sir was the director of this institute. The proud chemical engineer and the combination of the chemical engineering and the art, that's what myself always follow what sir is doing, what sir is telling. Sir, you may be aware of that one of your talk you said about why some of the startups fails in our country. Sir said, the great idea never going to be succeed in the market. Idea has to be sell. How to sell the idea is the important. I think you will remember, sir. Always, if you look at all his talks in the YouTube, you can easily motivated. It's not a simple word sir uses, and that the transformation what he did it during the secretary of DST and after that now INSA. tremendous work has gone inside the scientific fraternity. Thank you so much, sir, taking your time and being with us, sir. Dr. Attanu Rajan Paul, we wanted to sign MOU with the Tata Steel, and today we are signing the agreement. We are started working with Tata Steel. Dr. Haris is working on that project. Not what we are doing it today, that project, we are not going to stop this only one project. We wanted to expand more project in coming days. Once again, thank you so much, Dr. Attanu, taking your time and coming to CSIR-NIIST and putting the agenda to work in the industry and the institution. That's a gap we wanted to bridge. If you see that last 3 years, we are putting a lot of effort to bring many industry to the institute to make collaborative research. One such initiation is the Tata Steel, and we wanted to work more with the Tata Steel. Thank you so much, Dr. Attanu. And all the invitees, Diksha has come and Veda has come today, and all other invitees who are take part of today's our Foundation Day, CSIR-NIIST Foundation Day, as well as CSIR Foundation Day. Thank you so much for everyone part of this wonderful celebration.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Attanu Ranjan Pal is currently the Chief Technology Officer at Tata Steel Limited. With a BTech in Ceramics from the University of Kolkata, followed by a PhD in Material Science and Metallurgy from Jadavpur University and an MBA from XLRI Jamshedpur, Dr. Pal started his career at Tata Steel Limited. Starting with the managerial role, he has been associated with Tata Steel in different positions: Chief of Refractory Technology, Chief of Process Research, Chief of Product Research, and climbed the ladder to reach the position of Chief Technology Officer. He holds a vast experience of working for more than 33 years at Tata Steel, with portfolios ranging from operations and maintenance, engineering and projects, to human resource management, R&D, and technology functions. Dr. Pal is a co-inventor in 32 patent applications and has more than 50 granted patents to his credit, apart from a number of publications in reputed journals. Dr. Pal is actively engaged in professional associations and holds the position of the Vice President of the Indian Ceramic Society. Additionally, he is also actively associated with the Indian Institute of Metals, showcasing his commitment to advancing knowledge and fostering growth in the iron and steel industry. He is a recipient of the Refractory Technologist Award from the Indian Ceramic Society for lifetime achievement in the field of refractories. With this brief introduction, it's an honor to invite Dr. Pal, CTO Tata Steel, for his address. Please, sir.
Still, I concentrate on my talk. Can I request the people standing at the back to sit here if it is not beyond the protocol of the house? There are many chairs empty here. If you don't mind, please come. So it is for my concentration. Chief guest of this function today, Dr. Ashutosh Sharma, Director NIST, Dr. C. Ananda Ramakrishnan, my good friend Haris, Joshi Joseph, and the distinguished guests sitting in the auditorium, and I could find many students here. Initially, I had prepared a talk, but looking into the crowd, I thought it's better to speak the language for them. I'll tell 3 stories. Story number 1, from a book by Amartya Sen, The Idea of Justice. We all always have a conflict of mind, the justice is not made to me. The story goes, there's an old farmer, he was on the deathbed, he had a prized possession which is a flute. So he called 3 of his sons, says, I have the best thing in my possession is this flute. I like to give one of you Who will like to claim it? The younger son says, you remember, you know that I am the only one in the family who can play this flute. The next son says, yes, he can play the flute, but please try to remember who has gifted you the flute. I have prepared you and gifted it to you. The other son says, Father, now you are the deathbed. You just try to recall, though I am the elder son, what you have given in your lifespan. You always tried, motivated me to help my brothers, but you have not given me anything. Can I not expect this flute now? This is a challenge all of us have whenever we have to give a justice, give a reward, give anything. I don't know the answer. If you are a capitalist, you say the flute to go to the person who can best use it. If you are socialistic, you can say it is better the wealth to remain who is the creator. And there are many other people, neither the creator, neither the capitalist, they also has the need. So I don't know the answer. But whosoever get the flute need to think for the people and the planet. Whosoever get the wealth, they need to think about the people and the planet. Because today what is happening is, people and the planet is at risk. Whosoever get the wealth, they can destroy themselves, provided they are not been taken care of the people and the planet. Next, I will tell the story of Kavant Rakhas. I don't know how many have read the story. Google it time. So when it is from Ramayana, Ram and Lakshman was moving in the jungle. So this Rakshas caught them. This Rakshas didn't have any head, has a mouth and a belly. So what it symbolizes? So the people do not have the head, only have the mouth and belly. They like to grab and eat anything they have. They will not see what is the implication of it. So today's world, in the capitalistic world, all of us trying to grab and eat and trying to increase our wealth as much as we can, but leaving the planet and the people in a distress. In September 24, Business Standard, I was reading an article. Sir was talking about food, how much US export, why we cannot give food to others. The article says Zambia and Namibia and few others, African countries, is seriously thinking to kill their elephant to feed their people. This year, because of the drought, they not have the food to feed their people. What world we are living in? The other side we are talking is that it is happening global warming because of our consumerism. We all give lecture on consumerism but travel in the private jets and race and things like that. Two of us, sir and me, came from the same hotel, taken two different cars. That's our mindset. Because if you want to please these people who are in power, you can show your power by consumerism. If you take your lifestyle into the level where the consumerism is not visible, if I am not wearing good jacket, you will not believe I am a powerful person. So this world need to change a lot to things on the people and the planet. All of us has to be mindful on that. So whosoever, again I am saying, get the justice of getting the flute, need to be very, very careful. So if you want to be careful, your thinking part of the brain also should work in that way. I'll tell another story from another book. This book is called Thinking Slow and Thinking Fast. There is a man, poor, ignorant man. He was going through a jungle area near the jungle. So one lion came and he has one child along with him. So lion killed that child. He didn't have seen any lion before that. So now he, with his rational mind, understood the lion is an animal which is powerful than him, can kill him or his child. So you have to be careful. If you can see from the distance a lion, he should go to a shelter, take care of him. The other day, he was moving along with his another child. And then one bird was moving the top of his head. And the child died. The reason may be something else. Poor fellow didn't know that. What was his observation? That birds are also equally harmful even if they are at distance. At least for the lion, if it comes to you, there is a problem. But this thing. So our human mind has a two part. One is intuition and guts, and is the rational thinking. We mostly use our intuition and gut feel. We ignore our rational part of it. All being a scientist and others need to carefully build the rational part of it. But today's world has a big danger. What the danger is? How will you build your rational thinking? This poor man is devoid of knowledge. So he was only taking his conclusion from one or two observations. But people like us has a lot of source of knowledge. So we are not devoid of information. But today's world, information is getting corrupted. I'll give you an example. Before this election, initially I was scrolling a lot of things, what Modi ji is doing, what Modi ji is going and things like that. And all the feed used to come is good part of Modi ji. Then the Dhruv Rathi's few good lecture came into the picture. So I start finding him and also Mr. Rahul Gandhi. Then my rational thinking part was hijacked by the internet and things, pushed me to think on that direction. Same thing happens in the scientific community also. If you search on certain direction, CO2, today I am too much fan of nuclear energy. Every day morning, 5 push of nuclear thing what is happening comes to my mobile. So you have to very carefully train yourself what you are searching. Otherwise, rationally you will be diverted. So, in conclusion, justice is difficult. Don't complain about you got a justice or not. The person who is doing the job, he is in tremendous pressure. But whosoever get the justice or the winner, please take care of the people and planet. And when you are thinking about the people and planet, think rationally, not intuitively. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. CSIR-NIIST has understood the significance of nurturing scientific spirit at a young age among the student community, and our Jigyasa team, coordinated by Dr. Joshi Joseph, has been instrumental in arranging various programs and visits of students and teachers from schools and colleges. Over the past 6 months, we have conducted more than 20 programs for colleges and schools. More than 2,000 students and 200 teachers visited our facilities from around 70 colleges and schools from Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Today, we are hosting more than 1,100 students as part of the Open Day. While congratulating the Jigyasa team for their exemplary service, let me invite Dr. Joshi Joseph, coordinator of today's Open Day programs, for introducing our chief guest, Professor Ashutosh Sharma.
Respected dignitaries on the stage, distinguished invitees, colleagues and students. A warm good morning to all of you. It is both a pride and a privilege to welcome Professor Ashutosh Sharma sir to today's Foundation Day program. For the Indian scientific community, Professor Sharma needs no introduction. However, for the benefit of the young students present here, eager for inspiration, let me share a few highlights of his remarkable journey. Professor Ashutosh Sharma is currently the Institute Chair Professor at IIT Kanpur, where he also serves as the INIE Vishwesvaraya Chair Professor and Coordinator of the DST Thematic Unit on Nanoscience and the Center for Environmental Science and Engineering. As mentioned, he has been the President of the Indian National Science Academy, INSA, since 2022. From 2015 to 2021, he served as the Secretary of the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, where he influenced national science policy and promoted research and innovation in the country. Professor Sharma earned his BTech in Chemical Engineering from IIT Kanpur in 1982, followed by a master's degree from Pennsylvania State University, USA in 1983. He obtained his PhD from the State University of New York, Buffalo, USA, under the supervision of Professor Eli Reckenstein in 1987. After a 3-year tenure as a research scientist in the Department of Ophthalmology at the same university, he returned to India in 1991 to join the Department of Chemical Engineering at IIT Kanpur. He has received several prestigious national and international honors, including the Infosys Prize in Engineering and Computer Science from the Infosys Science Foundation in 2010, the TOAS Prize in Engineering Sciences in 2008, the Distinguished Alumnus Award from IIT Kanpur in 2007, the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize in Engineering Sciences in 2002, the J.C. Bose National Fellowship from the Department of Science and Technology in 2006, and the Frederick Wilhelm Bessel Research Award from Humboldt Foundation in 2006, to name a few. He is an elected fellow of TOAS, Indian National Science Academy, INSA, the Indian National Academy of Engineering, the Indian Academy of Sciences, and the National Academy of Sciences, India. Professor Ashutosh Sharma is a visionary academician who has made exceptional interdisciplinary contributions in the fields of nanoscience and nanotechnology. His research interests include soft nanofabrication, mechanics of soft viscoelastic interfaces, self-organized mesopatterning, and multifunctional nanomaterials. With an H-index of over 82 and total citations exceeding 21,000, his contributions to scientific literature highlight his influence and reach in the field. He has served and continues to serve the international scientific community as an editor and editorial board member for several high-impact journals. Sir, your academic journey serves as the source of pride for the Indian scientific community and an inspiration to young academicians across the country. It is with great respect and admiration that we welcome Professor Ashutosh Sharma to deliver the CSIR and CSIR-NIIST Foundation Day lecture. Sir, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. And I'm very thankful to Dr. Anand Ramakrishnan for inviting me here. Indeed, he's been inviting me for a long time. And I'm so glad I finally made it here. So glad. And the very wise words of Dr. Atnupal. We already heard about rational analysis. So my talk also a little bit would be about rational analysis. But rational analysis of science, because we are scientists. So what comes to my mind when you think about rational analysis, we have also heard about what is called scientific temper. The point is that all of us have scientific temper in the lab. It's only when the scientific temper and rational analysis conflict with our self-interest that we lose it. So it's basically, when I sit in a, let's say, a panel of experts to recruit someone, so I know who the best person is, but then my nephew walks in. And my nephew walks in, then I lose all my analysis. And so this is the problem, is not the scientific analysis. The problem is self comes first. And so the whole point is that by including in self many other things, that self becomes larger and then it is possible indeed for the rational analysis to go through in its pure form. So to say, okay, so is there a pointer? Okay, then matter. So this talk is not about a particular area of science, because we all do stuff. Some do atoms, some do astrophysics. So from atoms to astrophysics, there are some principles of science or doing good science which are common. And so I want to focus on the structure and processes of doing science rather than a particular area of science. So what are to begin with, this is the structure of the talk. Overarching challenges, especially I see a lot of young people here, or rather younger people here. How many are doing PhD here? Can you raise your hands? PhD, good. Okay, and how many are from school? Are there anybody from school? I mean like high school and something, nobody here? Oh, good. So, okay, then we can talk science. Okay, we talk about processes of doing science. Okay, so so what are the challenges of the future in science and technology? So these are rise of intelligent machines, sustainable development, moving from invention to innovation. So in fact, CSIR, we were discussing that, we're saying Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. So I always thought that this "and" actually was a mistake. So actually it should have been Council of Scientific Industrial Research, right? So now what happens is when you put an "and" there, it means you can either do science or you can do industrial research. It becomes an option, right? But actually there should not have been an option, because CSIR was created to do a particular kind of science which is relevant for industry. So this is about going from invention to innovation, is about how do we leverage our science for societal needs. Then inclusion and diversity in science is a challenge. What are the strengths and weaknesses of our science? What makes science and technology work or not? So we often as scientists think that, look, if I did something in my lab, it's done, it's over, which means science is working. But science might be working, but it would not work for socio-economic impact unless certain other things happen. And so an appreciation of what needs to happen in order for science to work. And what is the challenges to meet these challenges, the new challenges, what kind of mind is required. My mind is very old, or my mind is less young. But in order to negotiate the new world in which we live and in which we would be living for a long time, what is the characteristics of this new mind? Okay, and then I don't think I will have the time to come to the final point, which is that the world of science and technology today has many lessons from a world which was a century ago, that of Jagdish Chandra Bose and C.V. Raman. Because we often think, look, old things have no relevance for us today. So people who don't learn from history actually would often repeat the same mistakes, or would actually not be very well prepared in order to appreciate what goes on in science and technology. Let me just look at the good news first. India is number 3 in number of scientific publications globally now. In 2015, we were number 9. So there has been a very rapid climb in terms of number of publications, and this includes the cutting edge areas like engineering, nanotechnology, materials, even artificial intelligence. We are also number 3 in number of startups. Back in 2015, I joined DST, and there were 73 technology startups registered in the nation. Today, there are 1.4 lakhs. So, the change has been so tremendous, a very, very steep change, and this has to do with the fact that the cultural aspects for the young people have undergone a very big change. And so one of the things I want to emphasize is that the science succeeds. Doing good science is not only about training and IQ, it's equally about the culture and behavioral aspects. If you were to ask me what is the difference between, hey, this top guy cracking JEE and somebody sitting in what we call the top universities of the world, the difference is not in terms of IQ and training. So then I often think, hey, what is the difference? The difference is in terms of culture and behavioral aspects. So if we were to just give you an example, we talk about Atmanirbhar, Atmanirbhar Bharat, Atmanirbharta, self-sufficiency. But there are three cultural pillars of self-sufficiency, and we cannot have self-sufficiency neither in R&D, nor in manufacturing, nor in nothing else. Even in our own life, we cannot have self-sufficiency until we had a certain cultural aspect that you may call Atma Vishwas or self-confidence. Or you can have Atma Samman or self-respect. And Atma Chintan, which means the rational self-analysis, which is not colored by the self-interest. So these cultural aspects are so vital that without which we cannot do any quality science. Now, so what happens, we all know, you see, you go to conferences, these so-called international conferences in India, and people think that the brightness of somebody's mind is related to the brightness of their skin. This shows complete self-respect. This shows the lack of self-respect. This shows that the proper analysis has not been done. It shows that we have no confidence. And I can give you so many stories from our own life. You see, so when people from here go to the West, they think these are very, smart people. Of course, indeed, the top technology companies today are led by Indians, right? But here in India, we think somebody else is wiser than us, and which is the reason that we are followers rather than leaders. So being leader basically means that you have the confidence to say, no, this is wrong, I can do it better. Instead of saying, oh, I can also do what somebody else is doing. So that becomes follower. We have deep strengths in R&D and institutions like this. Demography of India has never been better. So the median age of population is 28.7 years. All the younger people sitting here. So this happens in every nation's history once maybe in 500, 600 years. So this kind of demography is not to be taken for granted. This is a very unique opportunity for India to rise. And this window of opportunity would not remain open forever. Another 35 years and all of us would be less young. And so therefore it means that there is not as much a productive workforce out there. So this next 30 years, as it is called, what is called the Amrit Kal, it is so important for us to recognize and leverage this time and cash our demographic dividend. There are new enabling policies. You heard about Anusandhan, NRF coming up. There are a whole lot of new policies which are enabling to do science, diversified markets, etc. But so what comes after good news is less good news, and the less good news is that while there is good quantity of R&D, the quality of R&D, because of the reasons that I pointed out, is not equally good. The relevance and direction of research is often not clear because we are looking at, as scientists, we are looking at direction of research coming from somewhere else. From my peer group is saying, oh, this is hot and this is not. But we have not looked at the India-centric problems because we live in a little abstract world of our lab and computer. So we don't understand what the real problems of India are and how to solve them. Connect with the industry and society is rather poor. And finally, the culprit for all of this is education that we have. So why we lack confidence, why we are followers, all of this can be traced actually back to our educational system. I don't need to belabor this point because all of us really know that the education is not about learning, it's about cracking exams. So simply put, so therefore it requires a completely different orientation from learning. And so learning basically is required for solving problems. The new challenges, it's not about cracking exams, it's not about shortcuts, it's not about coaching classes, it's not about none of that. Next. So here are the typical questions. So when I was in Department of Science and Technology or anywhere else, these are typical questions that people ask. They say why one is a follower rather than a leader, why is one risk averse, why one is being incremental in our research, why one is not connected to different stakeholders of science and technology, why is one negative and complaining all the time. I'm sure not here. Here everybody is happy, right? Everybody is happy. right? No complaints, no negativity. But I know, I mean that the great universities of yesteryears in the country have gone down like this because of the rise of petty politics, because of the rise of negativity, and you're saying, only if my, if my director was, allowed me, I would have done, or, oh, only if. So basically, blame is shifting somewhere else all the time, except where it belongs. Why have low self-esteem? And the little translation of the work and innovation, and then finally people say, why there is no Nobel Prize in India, right? So, and the most frequent answer, if you were to ask me or any of my colleagues, they will say, answer is funding. You say, oh, if you increase funding 100%, 1000%, a million times, everything will be okay. What do you think? I think it will not be okay. The reason is, unless we have changed the underlying weaknesses which are cultural and behavioral, that we would actually not solve any of these problems. Why? Because you see, even mathematically, if X amount of funding produces 0 and 2X amount of funding produces 2 multiplied by 0, okay, so I think it's very mathematically provable that this is not the solution. Of course, we need more funding. Nobody can deny that. But at the same time, in parallel, we need something else, and that something else is critical, and we never talk about it. So that's why I'm talking about it now. So, okay, so the future and technological challenges that all of us would face: artificial intelligence, rise of intelligent machines, quantum technologies, CRISPR. Everybody knows CRISPR here, the CRISPR tool? Okay, you raise your hand, what is CRISPR? Gene editing, right? So now there are nations actually which are using this in order to, let's say, produce certain class of people, let's say soldiers. So you can produce human beings who are good at soldiers but not good for nothing else, right? So this is the brave new world that we talk about. Those are the challenges. Sustainable development is going to be the biggest challenge that humanity has ever faced. In fact, the word sustainable development is an oxymoron, because sustainability pulls in one direction and our concept of development pulls in another direction, which is why it's so hard to marry both of these sustainability and developmental goals. And we will come to that. The solution to sustainable development is not only in science and technology, and I would like to emphasize that point, and we'll come to it in a moment. So what is a new mind? What makes science and technology work? I think we must have a very clear understanding of this very fundamental question. So what makes it work or not? First, let's focus on invention, or what I call the knowledge ecosystem, which is what we are mostly do. All the universities do that, IITs do that, ISRs do that, most of the R&D labs do that. Invention or the discovery ecosystem is basically a black box in which money comes in and knowledge goes out. Okay, this is alchemy. It transforms money into knowledge, right? And this is basically what we do. This is called invention and discovery. There is another ecosystem at work which is called innovation ecosystem, which is not generating knowledge. It is consuming knowledge which has been generated, which means another black box in which knowledge goes in and money comes out. So you clearly see that these two systems are orthogonal. Mathematically, they are completely different from each other. And so one may be very successful in invention, but total failure in innovation. Because you see, it requires different processes, it requires different mindset, it requires different culture to convert knowledge into money. Whereas to convert money into knowledge is basically what we know how to do. So, but invention, innovation have to work together in order for any society to prosper. Then, of course, the policies are very important. If there was time, I'll tell you a very simple policy that makes an impact on science worth about tens of lakhs of crores. Okay, so these are very important. Connecting is important. Cultural and behavioral aspect is what I was emphasizing, which is not often understood. That you see, that is the culture and behavioral aspect that determine how successful we are. You know, the nations, there are many nations where even Nobel laureates are thinking that, whatever knowledge they generate, how do we actually monetize it? Okay, in India, historically, it has been, Lakshmi and Saraswati are different. Okay, let us not mix them together at all, right? And so if we are worshipper of Lakshmi, then Saraswati is hated, and vice versa. What people have now understood, and now they are understanding more and more, that you see that they have to work together for each other's advantage, not because they are antagonistic to each other, but in fact that they are part of the same system. One represents invention, other represents innovation, and they have to work together with Lakshmi and Saraswati in order for things to work next. So here's the first challenge: the rise of intelligent machines. Future is all about, not about whether you are a chemist, you are a biologist, you are a physicist, you are a material scientist, whatever you are. Those are all good for degrees. For solving problems, we'll have to look at the convergence of all the streams of knowledge. So an example is cyber physical systems or intelligent machines, or we call Industry 4.0, call it IoT, call it whatever name, right? Issue is that there is a convergence of cyber and physical, which means communication, computing, decision making, autonomous decision making on one hand, and the materials and machines and those things on other hand. So this is what you call cyber physical. Now the next revolution would be cyber physical biological, meaning that biology will also get absorbed or integrated into Industry 4.0, which means little bit of machine comes into my body and little bit of my body goes in the machine. So that's the future, and this future is not very far-fetched. That it is happening now in terms of research, and is going to become a norm within 50 years. So all of us sitting here, while we are, large part of us is human, but 50 years down the road, this part, there will be some part of us which is not human, and that would be widely acceptable. This is not science fiction. Next. So this has, next slide, this has impact on everything that we do. So it is not just technology, because this is a technology which impacts our life in a very fundamental way. So it's about learning, work, governance, experience, mental health, judiciary, commerce, medicine, everything. Which means that the society that we are going to build 50 to 100 years from now will bear no resemblance to the society in which we live today. So it's hard to imagine. People say, hey, how can things change? Right? So we are not prepared for it if we don't think that they are going to change in a radical way. The second overarching challenge of science technology that would involve all of us, of course, sustainability and climate, and this is what you may call, this is a tax for living in a complex world, the thermodynamics, the tax. So we all know about these sustainable development goals. Those of you who are doing PhD or starting on their career must try to relate their area of research to one of the goals. Right? So one cannot do abstract kind of research, but say, hey, the research that I'm doing actually has an impact on one of these things, or their sub goals, and one should know that. I mean, so even if you go for interview, when you're looking for a job, you're able to tie in your research with one of the things which are very important for the society, for the future. Next. Okay, so just to give you some idea about what are the important aspects of science and technology, these are themes from G20 last year. So because India was the president of G20, and one aspect of one vertical of G20 is S20, which is Science 20. So I was chairing that for India, and we had three themes: clean energy. So everybody know about clean energy, that of course is needed. What is less understood is that while we may technologically have clean energy solutions, to implement them in the societies across globally also requires what is called energy justice, which means that this clean energy should be available to the last person. Otherwise, its purpose would be defeated, because you want climate to be under control. So therefore you have renewable energy, you have clean energy and so on. But point is, unless it reaches very widely the last person on the earth, you're not going to take care of the problem of climate change. Of course, universal holistic health, and then science for society. Okay, anyway, we're not getting to it. What I want to emphasize here is the problem of carbon emission, greenhouse gas emissions, and climate change is not only a problem of science and technology. How do we know that? because there are greener and greener energy alternatives in last 2-3 decades. But if you look at the carbon emissions, they are showing no decline. Okay, so you see that the graph, the carbon, even during pandemic, when the activity has shut down, we are basically emitting more and more, and this is, the slope is only increasing. So while there are cleaner technologies today, we must appreciate the fact that technology only makes a process more efficient. It does not determine the total magnitude of activity. So technology basically means, a better technology means that you would emit less per GDP, but the GDP itself keeps on increasing. So therefore, any technological gains are offset by the increase in the human activity. So anybody who tells you, look, by the end of this century, technology would limit the temperature change to 2 degrees Celsius is either stupid or lying. Okay, take it from me. I have studied this very deeply. There is absolutely no way that you would have less than 3 degrees Celsius temperature rise, which means all the coastal areas would be underwater. Anyway, there are untold misery. Okay, so and the point is, and the point basically is that you don't plan only for 1 century on the planet Earth. So you should plan at least for 5 millennia or 5 centuries. So imagine if we already accept that the end of this century we are going to be living with 3 degrees Celsius rise, already life is going to be horrible. What is it going to be like in 5 centuries from now? Nobody can predict. Anyway, so here is a little thing about saying, look, not everything is science and technology, but to make it work, there are other factors at play, and most important of that is how our mind actually works. So here it says, he used to think that top problems were biodiversity loss, ecosystem collapse, and climate change. He thought 30 years of good science would address those problems, but he was wrong. The top environmental problems are selfishness, greed, and apathy, cultural and behavioral aspects, and to deal with those, we need a spiritual and cultural transformation. Okay, so now the whole point is, we think, look, what is it to me as a scientist? Why are you telling me all this? I'm doing my work in the lab. I will produce ammonia or whatever it is that people ask me to produce. I will even try to take away some of the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and, do some sequestration and stuff, which is all very good. We're not going to solve the problem. Alright, so therefore, what is it that we need to think and do as scientists, doesn't matter as scientists or anybody else, is to also take into account the fact that the will of the society is what is going to determine our future, whether it is about artificial intelligence or whether it is about going to be climate change. Next. So there is a whole lot of talk across the world about, you see, what is at the bottom of this all. Bottom of this all is basically just what is called Chicago School of Economics, which came into being just about a century ago, which basically equates development with consumption. Okay, so it just, it has gone even further. Today people believe that happiness equates with consumption. So this is something, a total misunderstanding of the civilization in which we live, that you cannot equate development with consumption, and you even more radically, you cannot equate happiness and fulfillment in life with consumption. So therefore, replacing for-profit ecosystem, which is totally self-centered and self-serving, to what is called the life economy, which basically means that people are at the center rather than profit being at the center. Anyway, this is a little complicated stuff, so we go to the next slide. Okay, let us look at what are the processes of science and technology that we are talking about in the new millennium. Now, one of them is related to so-called thing called creativity. What is creativity? I mean, it's just like very misunderstood concept like innovation. So even people say good invention is innovation. It's not like that. I already told you that innovation has no relation to invention. Similarly, what is creativity? Creativity in today's world is to connect those dots of knowledge which have not been connected before. So to find actually a connection between unrelated kind of areas, and therefore to bring new thinking and new concept into it. And all of course we need common sense, which is not common. We need to move away from tool-centric to problem-centric way, which means I can't say I'm just organic chemist, inorganic chemist, green chemist, red chemist. physical chemist, biochemist. All of these things are good for getting a degree and getting a job, okay, but they are not good for solving problems, because a problem is never a problem of a single discipline. So anyway, interdisciplinary, all this, there is a lot of lip service about interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary, out of disciplinary. All this is very good, but I asked some director, can you hire this guy who is truly interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, he got BTech in one area, PhD in another. People will not own up, because everything we do is department centric. Okay, so me and my friends who just belong to the same club, and we don't care about anybody else. So therefore, while this is all very good, it looks very nice, in speeches and everything. Then I ask any director, he said, no, well, department has to hire and let us see what happens. Okay, next. So I want to give very quick examples of creativity. Okay, because in abstract we don't understand things. So you say, okay, connecting the dots which have not been connected before. How do we think about this? So the first example is the rise of this thing called scanning tunneling microscope, atomic force microscope, basically to see very small things. Nanotechnology would not have been possible without these tools, AFM and STM. How do they work? So you want to see something very small. So you first think about how do you see things. So when you say, look, I want to see something small, first thing you ask is, what is the meaning of seeing things? Go back, not so fast. Okay, here. Seeing is believing. Okay, and so when you think about seeing, you think about light, right? Because seeing is visual. Or we think about radiation, let's say electron beam, or we think about ion beam. There has to be some radiation in order to see. Let's say electron microscopy, for example. But is that the only way of seeing? No, there are other ways of seeing. Let's say, for example, a visually challenged person, how does she or he see? Well, you close your eyes, you take a stick, you move around, you poke the surface, and then you have a pressure map which gets translated into a visual map, right? Through the stick, poke stick, and this. If you do the same thing on a small scale, next. So you see the stick, if that stick is very small, like a micro cantilever, and there is tapping on the surface and moving around, then that pressure map that this cantilever feels gets translated into a visual map, and so this is called atomic force microscopy. So idea that here we are saying is, look, the power of ideas, alternate way of thinking about something is important. Its translation into technology is a straightforward thing. Today, nothing is limited by technology. It's only limited by ideas. So, if we don't emphasize new ideas, which we don't do in education, then we are not going to be leading any new area. So, no matter how outrageous an idea might look, always think of a new idea, then take help from your friends in order to translate that idea into reality, which is technology. So technology is driven by ideas, not the other way around. So idea, very, very important to think something new. It may be ridiculous, it may be outrageous, it may be whatever it is, weird as people call it, but that would be important. Next. So here is this weird idea from my own experience, my lab. So if you know, for example, I worked some time in nanotechnology, nanofabrication, which means how do you make small things. A nano is like 10 power minus 9 meters, a billion times smaller than a meter, very small indeed, about 10,000 times smaller than thickness of human hair, what depends on whose hair. Okay, right. But anyway, so point is to make something small. There are two ways that you can do it. Two ways are called bottom up and top down. The top down fabrication means that you use a machine tool or a radiation or something in order to make something small, like photolithography, if you have heard of it, or any of that. The bottom up is how things happen in nature, which is self-assembly or self-organization. I mean, nobody tells nature how to make something complex. So it happens by, is something amusing going on there? Can you share it with me? The three girls here, no? They are telling some joke to each other. What is that joke? Please tell me. They're hiding her face. Okay, right. Never mind. So what happens in nature is basically self-assembly or self-organization, because the whole tree is growing out of nothing. So I was thinking, is there a third way to make something small, not top down, not bottom up? Often even scientists confuse bottom up with bottoms up, and bottoms up it happens it's a totally different concept. Okay, so is there a third way of doing things? So I was thinking, I saw this movie in 1980s, say Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, which means can you make something bigger and shrink it to make the replica of it smaller, right? Now if you think about it, oh, so what is this? I mean, right? So okay, next slide. So what you do is, suppose you make something, you want to make something 100 nanometer, but you make 10 micron, which is easier to make with less specialized tools. Make a replica of it in hydrogel, and then shrink the hydrogel. You make a negative replica, then you repeat the process 4 times, right? So you make smaller and smaller replicas of it. This can be done in a high school lab. But to make a 3-dimensional complex object, you require $10 million worth of equipment in nano fabrication lab. But this can be done, right? Not only it can be done, but you see the whole problem, you could solve it in like 1 month. It also had technological implications. I now had time to go into that, but and we could publish it in the top journal of material science called Advanced Materials. This is 1 month of work. Okay, sometimes 5 PhD students work for 5 years to publish one paper there. So why I'm saying this is because the power of ideas is important. So once you have an idea that nobody else had, and you can demonstrate it successfully, that is what is required more and more. Perhaps I'll come to it a little bit later, but before I forget, I always do tell this to younger people, saying, look, that there are 3 ways of solving a problem, which I call in Hindi. How many people here understand Hindi? Hey, there's majority, very good. But I'll also explain, translate in English. So the first way of solving the problem is called jugaad. Jugaad is makeshift solution, so to say. It is not optimal solution. It is not a scalable solution. It's not universally acceptable solution, but it allows you to live some more until you find the right solution. So jugaad is good in the times of crisis. There is a movie called Die Another Day or something like that, right? So jugaad basically allows that. So now the second way of solving a problem is called dhanda. So dhanda is basically a stable, continuous way of doing business, which is only looking at 5% increase year by year. So everybody, there's stability of the society wants a lot of dhanda. The third way of solving the problem is what I call panga, which is disruptive solution. So when we know that something has not solved the problem for 5 decades, it's time to think about panga. It's time to think out of box. It's time to take risk, and even if you fail. There's one of my favorite authors in high school, Hemingway. He said it's better to have loved and lost than not to have loved at all. So this is something about taking risk, and the solution to problems often which are daunting problems like climate change and so on, their solutions will not be found by dhanda, will not be found by business as usual. Business as usual will only mitigate some of our suffering, but it would not eliminate it. Okay, next. Okay, this is the last example of of some kind of panga or something from my own experience. My inspiration always comes from movies. Some of it comes from movies, some comes from by watching something that happens around us. Can we play this clip? Can you? How do you play? Just click on it. If it plays, yeah, there you are. And what about the volume? Can you hear the song? There we go. Yeah, enjoy the show. Forget about science. You're not looking happy at all. But anyway, so what we did, to cut the long story short, for about 2 decades I was doing this research in how to do self-assemble small structures in nanotechnology. So we made an array of micro lenses. We made an array of nano lenses or micro lenses by what is called self-assembly. This is a very interesting long story. True science, which I don't have time to go in here. By self-assembly, how we do that. Then we said, oh, we got an array of micro lenses. What do you do with it? So now if you look at it, you see that if you shine an object through an array of mirrors or lenses, you make miniature copies of that object, of that complex object. In this case, I think it was Madhubala, right? We made a whole lot of, the copies of her. So if we using this lens array, if we shine an object, then we'll make miniaturized copies of it, which can be captured on a photosensitive material behind it, which is called photolithography. So, so this is one of the ways to do micro or nano manufacturing, and we could indeed use this array of lenses in order to do that. But all I'm trying to say is, look, that often the stuff that we do in the lab, it should be a little bit exciting, inspirational. It should connect to our common experiences. After all, science is not all what we make it out to be. It's not like, oh, it is, I'm so bored today, I'm so depressed, I don't know what things are. I mean, just look at Madhubala, you'll get cheered up, no time at all, right? And so, this is a lot of fun. In fact, one of our colleagues, Dr. Diksha Avasti, today she will talk about mental well-being, I think at 2 o'clock or something. This is very important. So all you PhD students who are now feeling very happy with life, please attend this, right? You are still not happy, please come talk to me. I'll make you happy, totally. How many here are people in chemistry, with chemistry background? Chemistry, there's a large majority. Chemistry people have no reason to be unhappy. Next slide. You know why? No. Next slide. You know why? Because chemist can solve every problem. You know why? Because they have all the solutions in their lab, in their, right? All the solutions are there. No problem. Okay, so here we said, look, invention to innovation. I already covered it. I was saying how invention goes into innovation. Next. Okay, this is something. This is called meta knowledge. This is called knowledge pyramid. At the bottom of knowledge pyramid, what is it that we aim for? I mean, next couple of slides, I'll then conclude. And saying, first we are human beings, then we are scientists. As a scientist, to be a good scientist, or even being a good administrator of science, what is it we look for? So this is all summarized in what is called knowledge pyramid. At the bottom of the knowledge pyramid is what is called measurements and data. Plenty of it. I mean, that armload of data floating around. Every year is growing at exponential rate. So data created in last 2 years is more than data created in the entire history of human beings. 2 to 3 years, I would say. And this is, speaking of this pace, this is very important because no human brain would be able to deal with this armload of data in any foreseeable future. I have lots of interest in, okay, what's the future of research, what is the future of publishing, what is all of that. Everybody is clear that it's going to be radically different from what it is now. But anyway, so you got measurements and data right at the bottom of the pyramid of knowledge. From there you extract information, and that from there extract information which may even be useful in solving problems. From distilling from information you get knowledge. Knowledge is basically a framework under which you can interpret things and understand them. So knowledge is like, Newton's second law or something, right? So that is knowledge, and that came from a lot of information about planetary motion. And that information came from measurements and get the data. From knowledge, today the time has come that we start distilling what you may call wisdom. Why? Because we have seen that problems of the future cannot be solved simply by science and technology knowledge. So it also requires what you may call wisdom, with want of a better word. Okay, then this is all this, the ascending the knowledge pyramid is called excellence in invention and discovery. When you start the reverse journey, which means go from wisdom to money. That is called innovation. So there is a one-sided journey going up the scale of pyramid, which is called invention and discovery, and then turning that around, that knowledge pyramid on its head, start from measurement, data, and all that requires money, right? And then get into more money. So this is called the circle of knowledge. So circle of knowledge is made up of two components, invention and innovation, that have to work together. Next. Now, what I want to convey very quickly to younger lot is that, you see, don't always trust people who are less young. I mean, sometimes we think that, look, somebody has got like, okay, 50 years of age, 70 years of age, so that person knows more. That's not necessarily true. And I want to give you 4 very big examples from history to actually refute that idea that experience leads to wisdom. So the Kodak used to be a company. Most of you here looking at the age may not have known what Kodak was, but totally 80% of photography business was controlled by one single company. This was headquarters in city of Rochester. In their heydays, 90,000 people in city of Rochester alone worked for this company. In fact, my first job after PhD was with Kodak R&D, which I didn't take. I was a wise man even back then, right? Okay, right? And they were the pioneers of digital photography also, right? They had all the portfolio of patents, and they were pioneers, but their top management, their top leadership of Kodak opined that there is no future for digital photography. And within 10 years, it ceased to exist, right? IBM, which was a pioneer in personal computers and personal computing, their top leadership opined, top leadership after 30 years of experience, all people that we worship and everything, they said there is no future for personal computing and personal computers. Nokia refused to buy Android. Yahoo rejected Google. Can you believe that? Right? So first Yahoo made an offer of $300 million, which Google refused. Then after a few years, they came up with $3 billion offer, which again Google refused, right? And so, but because Yahoo underestimated the future of Google, right? But so, okay, now let us look at the first 2 examples, Kodak and IBM. Why they refuse things which are obviously very successful today, right? Why couldn't they get it? They couldn't get it because each was thinking in silos. So Kodak was thinking, look, if there is no personal computer and these, like window-like software, then how digital photography is going to be used by users? IBM was thinking, look, if there are no applications like digital photography, why would anybody need computers? So each one of them were thinking that that they no use, because these things are codependent on each other. So when you have applications for computer, then computer will sell, right? And if you have computers, then digital applications will evolve. So therefore, these 2 sectors are codependent. So to say, so each one of us scientists not only have to worry about what we do, but also what our neighbor does. Okay, so all the proximal technologies which are going to impact my work have to be worried about. Oh damn, I saw the clock. Next slide. And so I must conclude. This is what we are talking about. I spend a lot of time trying to understand why startups don't succeed. Anyway, I think the startups are only starting up here now. There are not a whole lot of them, so we'll probably skip this. But what I don't want to skip is at least the cultural aspects. Get rid of energy vampires, I'm always telling, right? Energy vampires are these people who are sitting with you and make you depressed repeatedly, right? Instead of sucking your blood, they are sucking your optimism and energy, right? So nothing is ever gained by sitting around with energy vampires, even if you feel little happy at the moment. And so, okay, next. The overarching challenge I was talking about is diversity. So especially in technology, in certain areas of science, etc., the inclusion and diversity are very poor. Now this diversity, of course, the major diversity in terms of gender, but also about age, right? So often you see in our committees, they are all people over 60 like me, right? So we have some wisdom, but we don't have as much connect with the contemporary world. So there is a balance between energy and experience, and so every committee and every area and everything, of course, must have a balance of age. or the spectrum of ages, the gender, geography, the skills and so on. This is so important, but we often forget it. And you know, so in any conference, when you look at the poster, people tell me this is all menal. Menal means only men sitting here, right? They know, and I keep telling organizers that you see, you need to have diversity, you need to have inclusion, but this has not been internalized. Okay, so it remains a lip service often, and so we have to be very clear that unless we have a diversity of perspectives, we will not identify the right problems and will not identify the right solutions, right? So because suppose all your science was being done only by billionaires, you know, only one kind of people, male, everybody who's got $2 billion bank account, then there's only one kind of science that will evolve, which means making very big, nice mansions, right? Structural engineering. So therefore, it is very clear that we need diversity of all of this. Next. So I thought I will tell you about how policies impact science. And so because we don't have a whole lot of time, so I must summarize this in 2 minutes flat. See, this is the policy about surveying and mapping in the country. What is called geospatial data, its creation, we call surveying and mapping. For 100 years from the time of British, the policy was that nobody can do surveying and mapping without tedious approvals, which required 8 months, which may also require other pains for private sector. So no private sector was doing surveying and mapping. It's all left to this government thing called Survey of India, and they cannot deliver the modern requirements of surveying and mapping. Just so that you understand very quickly and clearly, has it occurred to us that the maps that we use are not Indian maps, but they are made by a multinational company, right? We all been using it for a long time. Why don't we have Indian maps? Because of this policy. It did not allow you to make maps, Indian citizens or Indian companies, public or private. So some satellite up there is capturing our data and monetizing it. It's our data, it's our users. We are the ones who are using all these maps for services and for infrastructure and everything else. But the money is not coming here. By the way, these maps are made by people, us people sitting in Bangalore. So we have the people, we have the know-how, we have the software, everybody thing is being done here. Our data, but being monetized by a third party. What is the reason for it? So you have the science required, you have the people required, but nobody gives any thought about, hey, why am I allowing other people to loot me without my consent, in fact, right? So this has to do with the policy. So now, anyway, next one. So this policy was under Department of Science and Technology because Surveying, Mapping and Survey of India are subordinate departments of Department of Science and Technology. So we start looking at it and say, this is ridiculous. I mean, they're not making any sense. So in the name of security, if you do not allow people to do surveying and mapping, that's ridiculous because all that data is available to your enemy, but it's not available to us today, right? Your enemy then require, I mean, you know, you can buy in open market and internationally any data you want. Once I was in Sweden in a company which makes fighter jet planes, Saab, SAAB, and they said they have a simulator that you can fly anywhere. He said, where do you want to fly? I said, I want to fly on top of my home in New Moti Bagh in Delhi. So he said, okay, we go there. I can see my car standing there. If my wife was out, I would have seen her too. Okay. But so it means there is nothing in today's technological world that you can hide from your enemy. But if you hide it from your businesses, it means you are not giving them opportunity to do this. So this is finally solved by, let's say, I put it in one single sentence. The new policy is that you do not require any prior approval for surveying and mapping, either by public or private Indian entity, except in those areas which are considered out of bound by a competent authority, which means, you know, like you have military installations or whatever you have, those you don't have the permission to do surveying mapping, but everything else is a fair game. And I guarantee you within the next few years, you'll use better maps which are made by Indian companies than the maps that you're using today, for sure. And the greatest impact of this policy is on the rural population which do not have ownership paper for their land. So all that land is totally out of economy. It's like gold which is locked up in our lockers, which is doing nothing for economy. So once you do the digital mapping of the entire country, lot of population gets their ownership certificate for the land, and then they can go to bank and take loan against it as collateral. The impact of this single line of policy that I told you is tens of lakhs of crores of rupees on the economy in the next few years. And this was not because of lack of science. All the science, the LiDAR, the drone, the digital mapping, and all the software is all available in the country, and people, competent people are available. Next. So that's the concluding slide. What direction technology is going to evolve? That's a question people often ask themselves and to other people. And people have no clue, okay, about what's going to happen in 50 years from now. The short answer to that is that while we do not know exactly what product would be there, that product would be there to satisfy one of the basic fundamental needs of the mind. What does mind want? To be healthy, quality of life, to be connected with equality, to learn things and to apply them, to make decisions in complexity, to be entertained, to have better life, to be happy, fulfillment, to create and control his own world, to live long, maybe forever. And as I pointed out, the basic misunderstanding or mistake that this civilization has done is happiness equating consumption. Okay, so now if you were to look at every technology that we use today, actually you can connect it to one of these basic needs of the mind. For example, even augmented reality, virtual reality and all mixed reality is to create and control your own world. Now you know, of course, you cannot control your spouse in real world, but in the augmented reality, in virtual reality, you can do whatever you want, right? So it is, you know, to have this sense of control and whole lot of other things. So all of these things that AI to make decisions in complexity, right? So this is the reason that we will have artificial intelligence controlling our lives, to be entertained and so on. Next. Oh, there is still one left. Okay. So now this certainly is the concluding slide, and this is the this is the sum total of the wisdom of my life. But actually I learned this sum total of the wisdom of my life back in 78 when I was doing B.Tech at IIT Kanpur, doing the first course in psychology called Psychology 101. This is called, what do people want? This is called Maslow's motivational model, hierarchical model. So we have different needs in life, and this is all in a pyramid. So the basic needs are physiological needs, safety, belonging, esteem. These are called deficiency needs. There is something we feel deficient about, and we cannot live without all of this. So point that I am going to make is that all of these deficiency needs can be addressed by right kind of technology. After you have all of this, let us say you have sufficient number of zeros in your bank account, then you talk about growth needs. Pretty much everybody here either is in the phase of growth needs or will be soon. So now what are these growth needs? The cognitive needs, aesthetic needs, actualization and transcendence. Now they are a little bit difficult to define, but basically every time you are saying I'm a little bit unhappy, you are basically focusing on what is called growth needs. Especially people who have sufficient to eat, drink and sleep in a right place and everything. After that, if one is unhappy, one is basically talking about the growth needs. The point to make is that technology cannot satisfy these growth needs. Okay, in fact, it may be even inversely proportional to satisfying these growth needs. So because everybody is thinking, hey, only if I had another zero in my bank balance, everything, if I had 5 cars and I added 2 more, then I will be happy and my growth needs will be taken care of. Nothing would be farther from truth, because we know by experience that this is not true. Okay, you know from your own experience, you know from the experience of 100 other people that this is not true. Still, since we do not know we don't have any option, we don't think of any alternative, so we say the only way to satisfy growth needs would be to consume more. So again, I would conclude with this and saying, look, science and technology has some purpose, but there is also purpose beyond it, and that purpose beyond it, even as a scientist, we cannot ignore. If we ignore, then life is not going to be that happy. It will not make other people also very happy in any case, because we'll keep pushing them to just consume more mindlessly so to say. Next. Okay, I'm now going to go through summary because everything has been summed up in that particular pyramid. And so next one and conclude. Okay, that's the final slide. Okay, so you know what Mark Twain was saying, truth is stranger than fiction because fiction adheres to possibilities, truth doesn't. Okay, so this is true for science, this is true for lives, this is true for everything that we do here. These are some of my paintings. If you want to buy them, contact me later. Okay, so I conclude. Any questions, I'll be happy to take. You can clap now. I'm so sorry. I really have concluded now. Okay. Yeah, any questions? No questions? Well, we have 2 minutes. We can do some questions here. Younger people got questions. Yeah, okay. The hand which went up. I like your shirt. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, thank you. My shirt isn't bad either. But anyway, go ahead.
That is not about clothes, sir.
Go ahead, go ahead.
So what I want to say, sir, whatever the presentation you have given was very nice and very rich in knowledge. It has added up so many things in my knowledge. So I just want, can you make some comment on that personal interest of a government, how it is affecting the scientific institutions?
So what is exactly the question?
Sir, government is meant to be meant to serve people, but sometime it has been seen by experience that government takes some personal agenda and they have some.
Government is not a person, so there cannot be any personal agenda.
But they can have a interest as a group, sir.
Yeah, so as a group only. See, what happens is oftentimes in society, there are many groups which are at odds with each other. So it's like, think about when there is an interview and 10 people appear for interview, one gets selected. So all these 9 people who are not selected, they are at conflict with the panel which does the selection. So society is not a monolith and government also is not a monolith. Is not a person. So there are many things which are at conflict with each other. The demands are at conflict with each other. So if one demand is satisfied, then other groups think that this has not been fair. If that is the question you have. Which also to say that nobody is all wise. So everybody makes some errors. The whole point is where there is a mechanism for error correction. Okay, so there is no committee which is all wise. They can make mistakes in this example, right? So only thing is that it is not done with self-interest. Okay, so when something not done with self-interest, as was pointed out, there should be by rational analysis. Even rational analysis may be wrong. Okay, so they have to do another rational analysis to do error correction. Okay, so it is not so much the intent has to be right. Right. So now anyway, see, there is no answer to your question. Right? Okay.
Sir, one more question, sir.
Yeah, one more question. Okay.
What do you suggest on what ratio of fundamental to applied science should be considered, sir?
See, this whole debate about fundamental and applied science is totally stupid. Okay. You see, what happens in human mind is like this. First, you create 2 divisions out of nothing, and then you create conflict. You say, no, it is like, oh, this is black, this is white, and see, today's world, 99% science is what you would call applied science because the fundamentals are already known in that. The only few exceptions would be string theory, grand unification of forces in the universe, and so on, right? Everything else is applied but with different variable degree. What you mean by applied, you see, you read any paper, the first paragraph will try to justify the application of what is in the paper, right? It may not apply, it may not show the solution, but it will say, yeah, this is, like this, right? So it will try to come up with applications of what you are going to be presenting. Much of the research that we do is applied. The conflict is not between what you call basic and applied. The conflict is between incremental and profound. So I think we have just gone away totally that what we should recognize as the real problem, we have gone away from that and we keep saying applied or fundamental and so on. What you should ask is, no matter what science you are doing, is it incremental or is it profound? Is it going to excite somebody or is it just going to say, I have also done this, right? Look, I have published over 400 papers in my life, and unfortunately for about last 10 years I went away from research, else I would have published 400 more, okay? But now if you really ask me, would all of them really inspirational and exciting? Not really, right? So it is like when you take soap, 80% of it is called filler material, right? You need filler material in order to make your CV look good, and people are looking for a job. I'm not looking for one now anymore. So anyway, this doesn't really matter. But I'm saying, look, society, like your peer group, expects you to keep publishing. Whole lot of it is junk. Okay, we know that. Nobody ever became wise by reading that paper. So whole point that we are saying is, look, we should be clear in our mind about, is it incremental or profound? Have I taken great deal of risk in doing this, or I have just been comfortable doing it for 20 years? You see, whole lot of, if you have worked in an area for 7 years or more, you can already write the next paper without doing anything. Okay, so because you know, you can write all the charts, and there's only data to be acquired and filled in, but you already know the conclusions of that study, right? So we all know this. I mean, I'm not saying anything which is not known. So, but we still keep doing it. The reason we keep doing it is because we have no other option. Okay, and I'm feeling bored, so I must do more research and write more papers. In the case of administrators, if they are feeling bored, they call a meeting. Okay, so so there are different ways of making your life purposeful, and this is one of the ways to make it. But you see, end of the day, all of us, I mean, if we do some exciting work, you feel good at the end of it, right? Otherwise, okay, just but of course it's true that our students have to find jobs, and in order for them to find jobs, they must have 10 papers. Okay, so all of these things fuel us to be incremental more and more, because you cannot write 10 path-breaking papers in your PhD thesis. But our peers, like me, who's saying, look, no, quality is important, but when I have to hire people, then I'm going to look at the CV and I say, how many papers do you have? Because other people will have more papers, and then people will question. They'll say, how come this guy got H index, this blah blah, citations, how come you're ignoring that guy and you're taking this guy? So anyway, this is all how society defines values. So unless our peer group changes their opinion about saying, look, quality is important, not only quantity, so unless that happens, we will at the risk of not finding a job by trying to do good things. Yeah, okay, that's it. Any other question? Yeah. How many?
Like
what is
the extent
matured?
of reaching up to IPO. Any statistics?
No. See, I mean, you're talking about public offering as being the maturity.
Yeah.
No. Public offering, there's very few do. Very few, and there are many reasons for it, which we can analyze in about 2-hour session, 2-hour long session, right? In fact, I myself had mentored one company about 15 years ago, which is doing very well. Its valuation may be worth about 200 crores, which is not bad, being a nanotechnology company in Kanpur. See, in those days, people said if you are doing cutting edge hardware and all, it will not succeed. This is all wrong. It will succeed. But now when I tell this guy that he should go public, we have to look at many different aspects, okay, which is, not scientific. They are commercial. And then you need to get a lot of insight into it as to how to go public, because if you are not prepared to go public properly, the value of your company will go down, right? Because the share prices are now determined by market, right? So it requires a great deal of preparation. It's a totally different science and art. Okay, and so, but your question about how many of them become mature in some sense, that they are profit making, that they are acquired by some bigger company, or that they come up with some product, even if it is held privately, the company. So I think I would say about 20% now are successful in that way. But they are still successful in the sense that the experience that they get by this would make more probability of their second venture being more successful. So every time there is no such thing as failure, right? I mean, through that they have learned, they have acquired some knowledge which will help them succeed later. You have a question? No? Okay.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring and entertaining talk. As part of the CCUS mission of CSIR, NIIST is pursuing the project on ceramic sorbents for carbon dioxide capture from point sources of steel industry assets. We are excited to enter into a technical collaboration with Tata Steel Limited for the evaluation of such sorbents under conditions of emission from blast furnace top gas and stove waste gas. May I now request our respected director, Dr. C. Ananda Ramakrishnan, our guest of honor, Dr. Atanu Ranjan Pal, and Dr. P. Nishi, Head Business Development Division, to do the honors in presence of our chief guest, Professor Ashutosh Sharma. I also request Dr. S. Anantakumar, Head Material Science and Technology Division, Dr. U.S. Harish, Project Leader, and Engineer Venkateshan, Co-PI, to join us on stage. By utilizing renewable and biodegradable materials such as agricultural byproducts, CSIR-NIIST has pioneered the technology for high-quality plant-based leather alternatives that replicate the characteristics of traditional leather while addressing its environmental and ethical concerns. Advanced processing techniques enhance the durability, texture, and aesthetic appeal of the product, making it suitable for various applications from fashion to automotive interiors. Committed to reducing the carbon footprint of leather production, CSIR-NIIST actively collaborates with industries and designers to promote the adoption of these sustainable alternatives. Today, we are transferring the technology to Leafy Leather, a startup from Surat, Gujarat. The technology enables the production of leather alternatives using groundnut shells and corn husk. Let me invite Ms. Manisha Jasani and Mr. Chirag Gogdani to the stage for exchanging the agreement. I also request Head Business Development, Engineer Venugopalan VV, Head Agro Processing and Technology Division, and Dr. Anjaneyulu, the Project Leader, to join us on stage. Thank you all. CSIR-NIIST is happy to announce the release of our annual report for the year 2023-24. This report highlights the significant achievements, research initiatives, and contributions of the Institute over the past year, reflecting our commitment to innovation and excellence in interdisciplinary science and technology. The report also underscores our collaborative efforts with industries, academia, and government agencies aimed at translating scientific research into practical applications that benefit the society. It's my pleasure to invite our chief guest, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, to release the annual report and request all the dignitaries on stage to receive the copies from our chief guest. I also request Dr. V. Karunakaran, Head Project Management and Evaluation Division, to join us on stage for the release of annual report. Thank you all. As per CSIR order, Council employees who have completed 25 years of continuous service in CSIR between September 2023 and August 2024 and who are on CSIR rolls as on 26 September 2024 are eligible to be presented a wristwatch as a memento for their valuable services. May I now request our chief guest, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, to hand over the memento to our respected director, Dr. C. Anandaramakrishnan, for completing 25 years of service in CSIR. We have 8 more council servants who have completed 25 years of meritorious service. May I request our director to hand over the mementos to the council servants. Dr. Joshi George, Senior Technical Officer, 3. Shri Anthony Peter Raja, Administrative Officer. Shri Shyam Sundar Singh, Finance and Accounts Officer. Shri Padma Kumar Ji, Section Officer. Srimati K. Preeta, Section Officer. Srimati Geeta G, Section Officer. Shri M. Anil Kumar, Assistant Section Officer. Srimati Macy Joseph, Assistant Section Officer. employees who have retired on superannuation from the council service between September 2024 and September 2023 and August 2024 are eligible to be presented with a wristwatch, a shawl and a Samman Patra as a token of appreciation for their service. May I now request our chief guest, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, to do the honors. Shri O.V. Shashikumar, PS to Administrative Officer. Shri C.M. Krishnadas, Section Officer, Stores and Purchase. Shri Shivankuti Nair, PN, Senior Technician, who is not able to join us today due to a health condition, and we wish him a speedy recovery and better health for many more years. Shri Unnikrishnan K, Lab Assistant. CSIR awards one-time lump sum cash award to the children of CSIR employees scoring 90% marks or above in minimum 3 science subjects in the senior secondary examination 12th class 2024. The award goes to Master Ajay Bharat, son of Shri Padma Kumar Ji, Section Officer, CSIR-NIIST. I now request our chief guest, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, to hand over the award, and I invite Shri Padma Kumar Ji to collect the award on behalf of Master Ajay Bharat. While words cannot express our gratitude to our guests for taking time from the busy schedule and gracing this occasion, I would like to request our respected director to honor our guests with a token of our love and appreciation. Our chief guest, Professor Ashutosh Sharma. Let me also thank Dr. Atanuranjan Pal in his absence. Thank you, sir. Let me now invite Sri Anthony Peter Raja, AO, for the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to everyone. Respected Professor Ashutosh Sharma sir, respected Director Dr. C. Anandaramakrishnan, Dr. U.S. Harris, Dr. Joshi Joseph, heads of departments, children from schools and colleges, teachers, scientists, guests from industry, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, it is a great occasion. It is an annus mirabilis year for CSIR-NIIST as we enter into 50th year of our glorious establishment. On this occasion, today we are celebrating both CSIR Foundation Day as well as CSIR-NIIST Foundation Day together. On this occasion, we have invited our chief guest, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, accepting our invitation, he has presented a thought-provoking and insightful lecture. Through your insightful lecture, you have not only enriched our knowledge about science and scientists in future, but also ignited us, inspired us to be more critical and more innovative. You taught many of changes, behavioral change and also cultural change to be a leaders in science rather than to be a followers. The clarity with which you have narrated your lecture, your speech will be with us forever to be a leaders in science. Particularly, you have ignited our young minds. We are very grateful to you for having you on today's occasion. I extend my heartfelt thanks on behalf of director and staff to you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Our guest of honor, Dr. Atanu Ranjan Pal, CTO, Tata Steel. He gave 3 nice stories to talk about justice, and also he is one of the industry participants. We have an MOU with Tata Steel. It is also a century-old organization. In fact, 117-year-old organization. Ours is, we are celebrating 50 years. CSIR is also established pre-independent area. And his wonderful lecture on this occasion, it was very, very impressive. On behalf of everyone present here, I also extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Atanu Ranjan Pal. Our director, we all know that he is the pillar of support to this institute. In previous years, we were also following other CSIR lab, what will be the benchmark. I think because now things are changing. In fact, we are lucky to have our director C. Anandaramakrishnan to be a leader and to lead our institute on 50th year of our establishment. Because he is setting a new benchmark, not for us, to be followed by others. That is a great change that CSIR-NIIST is bringing out to everyone in science. He is not only setting goals, but in the last 2 years we have seen he has, from the beginning, he has set some goals, some target, but not only he has achieved, but exceeded all scientific parameters. He is a overachiever, I can say, within 2 years. But that's why I am telling we are lucky on this occasion when we celebrate 50th year of independence to take our institute to new high and higher. Because when an institution is grown, when we inherit any institute, I think it is very difficult to achieve even 100% growth rate, 50% growth rate, more than 100%, but he has achieved. So he is also a pillar of strength to everyone to celebrate science, a good administrator, and all in all, a good leader for CSIR-NIIST. From my bottom of heart, I sincerely thank our director, Dr. C. Anandaramakrishnan, for his valuable guidance, leadership to the institute. I also thank our HRE head, Dr. U.S. Harris and Dr. Joshi Joseph, because they have been behind this function. They have put a lot of efforts to organize, arrange and execute all the requirements. So I extend my sincere thanks to both of them. Behind scenes, there are many heads of departments, because heads of departments, not only they provide advice, but also they help in executing all the tasks. So I sincerely thank all the heads of department, IMAC members for making this program to be a successful one. Further, there are many people, those who have helped in behind the scenes, particularly my colleagues in administration led by Mr. Padma Kumar, and hall arrangement and IT support provided by Mr. Moni and Mr. Raju, and also horticultural arrangement, arranging flowers and all the things led by Dr. Robert. These people all, for any program, they come forward, and they, in fact, I think they came in the morning 5:30, 6 o'clock and all to see that things are arranged well and everything is installed properly. I also extend my sincere thanks to all those who I have mentioned. Further, we have guests from industry and children from colleges, schools, and many common public have come, and also online audience, those who are listening to, those who have listened to our Dr. Professors Ashutosh Sharma lecture. I think I thank every one of you. Not but the least that all audience who are present here, you have all taken your valuable time because you have a lot of busy schedule and other works. You have come to participate in this CSIR and CSIR-NIIST Foundation Day to make this more memorable and eventful for every one of us. I once again thank all of you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. With that, we are concluding the Foundation Day celebrations. Let's take a moment to reflect on the waves of change that we have navigated together. Through trials and triumphs, our resolve has been unwavering. Let's celebrate not just what we have achieved, but the journey ahead, a journey rich with possibility. May this Foundation Day serve as a reminder of our collective potential, a promise that our chief guest, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, echoed in his inspiring talk, that together we can transform visions into realities. It was really befitting to have you all with us today. Have a good afternoon and goodbye. Please raise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Tea is arranged at the reception area to my left, and I request all of you to join us for tea and refreshments. Thank you.